100%. I'm a firm believer that there's going to be huge consolidation over the next 12 months. Some people would say visionary. I would probably say a little bit stupid, maybe a little crazy. 90% of companies are always building infrastructure, but it doesn't help the end person. It just builds infrastructure, but someone's got to build what people want. Something like 99% of stablecoins are USD. And up until very recently, 99% of USD stablecoins are USDC and USDT. I think now maybe it's 98% or 97%, but they're still the winners. You said it yourself, Revolut's in, I think, 40-something countries, but we're in 150 plus countries.
All right, everyone, we are back at Wrap Up Podcast. Guys, I've been talking to a lot of stablecoin founders, but until this moment, most of them were building in an infrastructure layer, right? They were trying to provide solutions for the banks and other players in the market. But today's guest is special. They are different. Today, I'm joined by Raagulan Pathy, founder of Kast and former VP at Circle. And if I understand correctly, you guys are building stablecoin bank. This is what I would call it, but hopefully you will tell me more about what you guys are building. Rax, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Yes, we call it a stablecoin neobank.
Yeah, please explain me what you guys are building at Kast. How you guys are different from other players in the market.
Yeah, absolutely. So I previously was at Circle for around 2.5 years. I set up and ran Circle's Asia business. And then I left Circle to build what I believe is going to be the most valuable thing that you can build in crypto or in stablecoin space, frankly, which is the stablecoin neobank, which essentially is a fintech that can serve people in 150 plus countries. I guess you would have a lot of the same features that you would see in a normal neobank. You can deposit money through cash, but you can also deposit money through, to an account.
All right.
A USD account or a Euro account or anywhere in the world using Swift.
Okay.
But you can also deposit using stable coins as well. And you can also deposit using crypto.
Right.
And you can send it the other way as well. So it's an account where you can send in cash or stable coins or crypto and send it out as well. You would also have a savings account. You would have a card. And in the future, you would have credit. Yes, not too far in the future, you'd have credit as well, right?
All right.
So it looks and feels a lot like a fintech, but the difference is that most fintechs hold cash. They're regulated under payments, typically like an EMI or similar license. The difference is that we hold stable coins at the center.
All right.
So yeah, it allows us to have a lot more flexibility, and it's a new type of neobank or fintech that's built on top of stablecoins.
Kast, you worked at Circle, as you said. I mean, why did you decide to build a stablecoin neobank rather than just going in and building an infrastructure provider, right? You are well qualified, you know what's happening in the market. You basically worked at the core of it, right? Why did you decide to build and Kast instead of infra?
Some people would say visionary. I would probably say a little bit stupid, maybe a little crazy. But essentially, like my view is that everyone is building infrastructure. If you listen to like the Airbnb CEO, I just listened to something recently where he said like more than 80% of YC companies build infrastructure. But ultimately, the greatest value is held by those who are building something for the end customer, right? Because you own the end customer. And I felt especially in crypto, it was even worse. Probably 90% of companies are always building infrastructure, but it doesn't help the end person. It just builds infrastructure, but someone's got to build what people want. And what people want, in my opinion, is a totally global neobank that they can use no matter where in the world they live. We especially, our ICP, as you call it, are people who are global citizens who live all over the world. They're remote workers, they're people in crypto, they're people who move between countries. And a bank that's built in a single country doesn't neatly fit their profile.
Right. Rax, basically, if I understand correctly, you said 80% of YC companies are building at infra level, which means to some sense its competition is very high. But don't you think in the neobank world, in the banking world for the end consumers, competition is higher? why I'm asking this question, for example, I'm based in the UK and I have a number of neobanks that I can use, and I am customer of a Revolut, for example. So
Yes.
here's the question: why should I use you guys, for example, instead of Revolut, right? Which is also, to a certain sense, is global. They are like available in 40 or 50 plus countries, and their card is basically available all around the world where I can use it. And most of the features like trading, they have got it, savings now they've got it. So why should I use you instead of Revolut, for example?
Well, I mean, you're very lucky because you live in the country that is the home of Revolut. But I think you
Okay,
said it yourself. Revolut's in, I think, 40 something countries,
right,
but we're in 150 plus countries, right? So
all
there's
right,
still, even Revolut's been around for 12, they have a 12, 10-year head start on us, right?
right.
And they're still only in 40 something countries. What about the other 100 countries, for example, right? So that's one thing. The second thing is that Revolut itself is not. It definitely has crypto in there because they added a lot of crypto, but they're not a crypto forward bank. They're not built on top of crypto rails naturally, right?
Okay,
So versus what we are, right?
all right,
So firstly, I think you're very lucky. Revolut's a great company. You've managed to get that service. But imagine people in all these other places who suffer without that same service. Also, maybe you live in the UK and stay in the UK, but let's say tomorrow you want to move to the UAE, you want to move to Bali, you want to move to LATAM. Maybe
yeah,
you want to move to all four countries in the same year. Very
okay,
soon, you will start having problems with questions around your residency, are you
mm,
in the right country, whatever. And you start finding some of the limitations that a lot of our customers find that it doesn't neatly fit their profile. Now, if you live in one country and you're just pretty much in that country, like there's plenty of banks for you, right? No
right.
problems. Even in the worst countries for banking, there's banking options, right?
Oh,
But
of
we're
course.
really for that 1 to 5. We think there's about 50 million people globally, and we think that's going to grow to 1 billion people who don't neatly fit any of this criteria. They don't live in a single country. They're moving around a lot. They're remote working, freelancing, they're solopreneurs, etc. They live in
Right.
lots of different places, and that's really who we're for. And as soon as if you put yourself into that situation, you move to Bali tomorrow, you suddenly may find that you start having a lot of issues with Revolut because they don't understand that kind of person perfectly. Now, Revolut understands them a little bit better because people are moving around Europe and using
Yeah.
Revolut, but it's still not perfect. And we're really for that new type of absolute global citizen.
Look, I am from Uzbekistan originally.
There you
Literally,
go.
I moved. Yeah,
Is
yeah,
it
I moved to
Revolut
UK.
in Uzbekistan?
Sorry, no, Revolut is not available in Uzbekistan. No.
There you go.
So I moved to the UK very recently. But before that, I lived in Europe in a different country. So are you telling me that, let's say, as a citizen of Uzbekistan, hypothetical, right? I can go on Kast and basically register, and you wouldn't, okay, ask a residency documents, because most of the banks, they do ask for like your residency documents and things like this. So how
Yeah,
do you do the
it's
onboarding? How is different? How is it
Yeah,
different?
it's quite complex. So there's services that you can use without too much residency requirements, such as like depositing stablecoins. Often doesn't require residency proof, at least. By the way, we KYC everyone, so you still have to KYC. You still have to tell us which country you're in. You can't be in a sanctioned country, etc. But then there's
Okay.
going to be services like moving money through SWIFT accounts, which will require a lot more residency documents, right? But I think just think about us as a platform. We're more prepared and understanding of that user who moves from a place like Uzbekistan to somewhere in Europe to somewhere in the UK, and tomorrow they may go and live in Mexico or wherever. Right? We
Right.
understand this type of. We're built for this kind of person, right? And
Okay.
so versus a traditional bank, if you try to explain that to them, like their just mind will just stop working because they're like, okay, this doesn't compute, you know. So that's the
Okay.
difference.
And tell me, how did you manage to launch in 150 countries so fast? What's the secret? Because again, as you said, Revolut is in the market for 12 years. They are in 40 or 50 countries. You guys are already in 150 countries. So what's the secret?
Yeah. So firstly, it's like we're a stablecoin wallet at the center, right? So stablecoin
Okay.
wallet's easy to be held anywhere. The second thing is the service we had was cards, like predominantly Visa and Mastercards,
All
and
right.
we only issue them out of a few countries with our partners, but those partners allow us to cross-border issue into somewhere close to 150 countries or so. We don't market in most of these countries. There's a lot of rules that come with this. You can't market with Revolut. You see, they're marketing all over Europe and the UK,
Yeah.
etc. So we don't actively market in a lot of countries. So people have to find us most of the time. So there's some rules that come with this, but yes, that's how you do it.
And was because I read a few articles that your growth was like basically astronomical. And how did you manage to reach that level if you are not actively marketing, as you said, in every and each country? So what's the secret to acquire customers?
I think the first thing is that we always built a really strong brand, and we also had a really easy to use platform as well, right? And
Okay.
so that don't underestimate how like there's a lot of neobanks, but is there you get customer service with us within 1 minute. You can get a hold of someone if you have any issues. It's easier to sign up. The brand is strong, increasingly trusted. I think amongst the neobanks, we're the top two in terms of money raised as well. So it's
Okay.
just safe and secure. And so and generally the market has just ridiculous demand, like because people are looking for something like this. So we're playing in a market that there's a lot of demand for already, where there's a lot.
Rags, and what about security and safety? I mean, from regulatory perspective, this is the thing that you just mentioned. Why people, for example, use local banks, and they are like rather regulated. You can trust your money with them, but when you're operating in 150 150 countries, how do you ensure that customers' funds are safe in case something happens?
Yeah, I mean, we go through the same, we go through digital asset regulation, and we have all these standards around how money's held, etc. A lot of products inside the wallet are held self-custodial as well, so you actually
Okay.
hold the keys to it. So yeah, we take a number of measures around it, and we're constantly improving those as well.
And is that true that the most attractive feature of stablecoin for end consumer, just like myself, who's using, let's say, neobanks or stablecoin neobanks, is yield? Or do you think there are other benefits? How would you argue about that?
I wouldn't say yield because I mean there can be. We offer yield products. They're pretty boring. I mean they're like 3% to 4%, but they're
Okay.
very safe. So
All
boring
right.
and safe is good in our eyes.
Okay.
So yeah, I think we have very boring and very safe products. But I think the most attractive thing is being the ability to spend. Like a lot of people need to move money using stablecoins, but the ability to spend using stablecoins is quite difficult.
Okay.
And so having a card through which a Visa card or Mastercard through which you can spend it is the big unlock.
I see. And tell me more about your card products. I mean, for general accounts, I understand, but for card products, I see KYC, KYB is more strict. You cannot simply issue cards to anyone, or do you issue cards to anyone who onboards with you, even if I am from Uzbekistan, for example?
Yeah, we have a list of block countries, obviously sanctioned countries. I actually have
Yeah.
to check Uzbekistan whether it's on there.
No, I mean, let's say if we don't look at sanctioned countries, I understand that. But let's say if the country is whitelisted, it's okay. Then do you issue cards to anyone, basically?
Yes, yes. As long as they're sanctioned, sorry, as long as they're not on the sanction list, as long as they're on the white list. Still some countries even that are not sanctioned for regulatory reasons we don't issue to, right?
Okay.
But yeah, as long as it's on the white list, then yes, we do issue cards. You obviously have to be 18. You have to do KYC.
Of course, of course, of course. And Rex, tell me please, based on your own experience, because if I go back to the news, what's happening in the market, I saw that basically all the or most of the major players, stablecoin players in the market, applying for a banking license. So what's the idea behind that? What does that give it? What does the licensing give them? What benefits they get?
I think this is more related to the US market in particular, companies like
Yeah.
Erebor, Anchorage. Most of them are trying to issue a stablecoin. And
Okay.
or in Erebor's case, I think they're trying to do banking for crypto companies, defense companies, etc.
Mhm.
But that's a little bit more US centric. I don't think we're going to go for a full banking license exactly yet.
All right, I see. So basically, if you want to issue a stable coin, I mean, to a certain sense, you have to apply for a banking license, and otherwise, you will not be able to do that. And do you think
I
we
think
really?
to be, I think for the US specifically, to be Genius Act compliant, that is why
Okay.
they need to get banking licenses.
And do you think we really need so many stable coins in the market? I mean, I think we still
Personally,
have.
I think USDC and USDT will continue to be. There's a stat. It's something like 99% of stablecoins are USD, and
All
up
right.
until very recently, 99% of USD stablecoins are USDC and USDT. I think
Right.
now maybe it's 98% or 97%, but it's still they're still the winners.
Okay, okay. I mean, and look, if we compare the US and the EU, I mean, as a person who is like at the center of stablecoin as well as regulation, who do you think is winning in terms of regulating stablecoin market and products? Is that the US or Europe, in your opinion?
I would say I mean, in terms of stablecoins, clearly the US is winning by currency. I mean,
All right.
90% are USD, and I think maybe zero point 0.2 or 0.3% are euros. So in that way, the US dollar is winning. In
Okay.
terms of regulation of stablecoins themselves, I mean, the US regulation hasn't exactly fully come into play yet, so it's hard to say.
Right.
Europe, obviously, with Mika, has opened up banking rails, so you can come in and out of stablecoins and crypto a lot easier. And so I would say Europe's done a very good job on that front. So I would say
Okay.
they each have good and bad. Let's say they each have
So
good and bad. It's still work in progress.
I see. I see. And I forgot to ask this. Where are you guys based? So let's say, would you say like you are the US based company?
As a holding company, we're a Caymans company,
All right.
Cayman company, but we have teams spread across the world,
I
including
see.
people in
I see.
UAE and Singapore and the UK and the US and other countries as well.
Right. And I also want to get your opinion on to start to certain sense the consolidation that's happening in the market. For example, Stripe bought Bridge, and Mastercard, BVNK very recently. Do you think as big players move into this market, basically startups will start disappearing and we will see consolidation in the upcoming few years?
100%. I'm a firm believer that there's going to be huge consolidation over the next 12 months, and some
Okay,
companies will become extremely well funded, and then
okay.
many will just not be that well funded over time. And so, yes, I do think there's going to be very strong consolidation here.
All right. And how do you look at the point that because there is an argument that stable coins don't remove actually costs, they basically redistribute them. Who actually captures the value in this case, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm building a stablecoin neobank, because
Right.
I think the most valuable thing you could do is that, look, if a customer has AUM on your platform and they're moving money, they're borrowing credit, they're spending, all those things create value
Okay.
in financial
Right.
services. And so that's why I think the best thing to do is build a neobank that can serve as many people as possible, and can capture as much of the market as possible.
All right. And but where does your margin sit? How do you make money when you are
We make
stablecoin
money
neobank?
through like lots of small ways, right? So
Right.
interchange on card, FX, when you move money, in the future when you offer credit, maybe we'll offer wealth products in the not too distant future.
Okay.
So all of these things make a subscription. All these little things make money, and so
Okay.
when you add it up, it's very healthy. But yeah, it's done through lots of bits making money, not one singular thing.
Please tell me what are the main use case currently, for example, cost card or accounts are being used? Because again,
Yeah,
um,
the biggest one is spending, obviously, because that's where we started. But
all
now
right,
what we find is like the actual movement of money, people sending and receiving money, is very, very big as well.
okay, and as adoption scales, where do you think what first breaks? Do you think it's the liquidity or compliance or infrastructure itself? Where do you think the biggest hurdle as you scale, guys?
I think tying up all these networks together, it's never been done before. These are all new networks. So tying all that together is very, very complex, let's say.
Right. Okay, I see. Um, so tell me, please, where you guys are headed in the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years? What are the number of the products that you are planning to build?
Yeah, so a lot of the main products we have today is the Kast card, which I think we're quite famous for, and then you've also got the savings account we've give you most users a US dollar account as well,
Right,
for example.
right,
So I think they're the big things. On top of that, what we have is we've got credit that's going to be coming at some point,
right,
unsecured or like at least card credit, so you can pay off your balance at the end of the month.
right.
So you have credit, you have wealth as well, so that you'll be able to use tokenized stocks, etc. Will be very popular as well, and then business as well. Business launches this month. We've got a huge
Okay,
Cast business for
all right,
business who want to use our platform as well. Uh,
okay,
and yeah, they're the main areas. We will have obviously more and more things come over time. We have future. We have our own stablecoin in trial right now, which is closed loop, etc.
all
But
right.
there's always more. Like the thing in financial services is if you have the end customer relationship, there's always more things that they want. There's no limit to how many things you can sell them.
Right, sounds good. Rag, I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you for coming on the show. Looking forward for new products. And by the way, I will definitely give it a try to your application and let's see how this works.
Please do. Please do. I'd love to hear your experience. We're also just creating a new email called CEO at cast.xyz, where you can
Okay,
always email me any feedback, any questions you have, any customer service issues. I think it should be up in the next day or so. And so,
okay.
um, yeah, I'm always available. You can also find me on X as well as LinkedIn.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Okay.